What the task force is saying, and what as a physician I have a hard time really accepting, is that there is a line, and at a certain point in time, this number of lives isn't worth saving. For the greater good of the community, this number of lives isn't worth it. And I've seen those lives. They've been my patients. And to say that those lives aren't worth it, regardless of the number, is hard for me as a physician to accept.
Yeah, there's some passion in that.
Yeah, God, Jim, you've been through this, it's difficult to tell a man that there's nothing I can do for you. And it's empowering to be able to say to them, you have something here that we may need to deal with. These are our options. Let's work together to figure out what's right for you. It's been a part of my life, and yeah, it's something I'm passionate about. I don't think there's a number that we can say, this number of lives isn't worth it.
Mm-hmm. Which is what the task force says. And they'll tell you.
Yeah.
They say, look, they take the passion out of it.
Yeah.
They look at numbers and they say,
yeah,
we're doing more harm here than we are good. And then you come at it from a place of passion where you are directly related to the patients
yeah,
that you treat, and you don't look at the overall numbers.
And I also look and I say, what is the negative outcomes that come from prostate cancer treatment? You can have irritative urinary symptoms, irritative bowel symptoms from radiation. You can have incontinence or impotence from surgery or from radiation. There's things that alter your life but don't end your life. And when I counsel and talk to patients about decision making and treatments, if I were to look at it for myself, I would much rather have to wear a pad than to wonder whether or not I was going to be able to watch my daughter graduate from high school. Wearing a pad it's life-changing but not life-ending. And although I would love for 100% of patients who are treated for prostate cancer not to be incontinent, I think personally a number of folks with incontinence is better than a larger number of people who die. It's just, I don't agree that the risk-benefit ratio is that much in favor of doing nothing.
You pointed out that I've been through this. I want to take you back to the first day I met you.
Yeah.
And it was 7:30 in the morning, for crying out loud. and you looked at the results of the what do you call that?
The biopsy.
Biopsy procedure. And you looked me straight in the eye, and you probably won't remember this because I know you do it a lot, but you said to me, without treatment, this cancer will be the cause of your death within 2 to 12 years. Do you have any vague recollection, or do you
Goodness,
say that sort of thing to
I'd have to
patients,
look
or?
back at your biopsy report. To make that sort of a statement to a patient, it would have to be a fairly aggressive tumor, a fairly high volume of disease, a fairly high PSA. There's a number of factors that would come together that you'd be able to say statistically, based on the numbers, there is a high likelihood this cancer is going to cause you a serious problem if we do nothing. There certainly are patients who I look at when I counsel and say, based on your numbers and your age and your Gleason and all these factors that we put together, I don't personally believe that doing nothing is a great solution for you. Although it is an option, it is not one that I personally favor. And I try when I counsel folks to separate out my medical opinion from my professional opinion. And I'm sure you remember times when you and I have spoken that I said to you, listen, medically, this is kind of where things are at. If you're asking me personally, this is my personal bias, if I was sitting in that seat, what would I do? This is what I would do. Understanding that the numbers may not support what I do. That's an emotional decision.
Right.
And I try to give folks both the objective, these are the numbers, here are the statistics, figure it out of you. But I also feel it's my obligation as a person, as a human being, not to just say, here's the information, good luck to you. I really feel it's my responsibility as a person, not just a doctor, but as a person, to tell folks, if I was sitting there, my interpretation of this, medicine aside, this is what I feel in my heart. And it doesn't mean that it's the right decision for you, but if you're asking me what my personal opinion is, this is my personal opinion, this is my medical opinion, the two don't always agree, and that's okay. But I think I owe it to you as a fellow human being to talk to you in that way and to allow you to make the best decision possible.
Well, and that's the heart of this, it seems to me, is you've got the task force giving the medical opinion,
Yeah.
right? And then you can either leave it at that,
Yeah.
or you can put the personal thing into it too.
I think as long as we as physicians, if we're going to take down that shield and say, this is how I feel, this is not just what the studies believe, but this is how I feel, I believe it's also our obligation to inform our patients, to allow them to find out how other people feel. Because clearly, if I feel one way, that doesn't mean that every urologist on the planet feels that way. So if I'm going to share with you my feelings, I also need to make sure that you're able to talk to other folks who will also share with you a different vantage point. And based on hearing not just the medical opinion, but how each of us feels personally, I think you as a patient can make a much better decision.
And ultimately, it is our decision.
It is. And I tell patients all the time, I will not make this decision for you. All I will do is I will give you all the information. I will give you access to people who I think will be able to share with you their viewpoint, their vantage point on this, to allow you to come to the conclusion that it's going to be right for you.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that we've taken a step backward with this task force recommendation?
Listen, it's been, as long as I've been practicing medicine, that there has been this debate about the value of PSA. The value of PSA has been up for debate probably since PSA testing was initiated back in the late 80s. It's a debate that started greater than 2 decades ago and continues today. I don't think the debate is over. I don't think any one opinion defines the debate, nor should it change the way we as physicians necessarily practice. It's not a perfect test, but it's the best we've got right now. And honestly, interpreted by the right people, it's better than nothing.
There are other tests coming down the pike. There's a urine test. There's another blood test. They don't have FDA approval yet.
Right.
Are you familiar with those?
Yeah, I mean, and again, it comes down to, what I believe is gaining information. If you can gain information, you can make a better decision. In general, in life, the more information we have, the better decision we can make. And the same is true when it comes to treating prostate cancer or even diagnosing prostate cancer. We have tests now, in addition to the PSA, that allow us to say whether you're in a high or low risk category for having a biopsy. I can't tell you whether you have cancer or not based on your PSA. I can tell you risk. But now we have additional tests that can say, based on your PSA and this test, your statistical likelihood of having a prostate cancer is this. Do you want to do a biopsy or not based on that number? That's a heck of a lot better than what we've had in the past. So yeah, year by year, month by month, day by day even, our ability to provide our patients with information to make a better decision improves. And I personally don't think that taking away information is the right way to approach a problem. I think we need to find out where the information of value is and add to it. Find out where the gaps are and fill in those gaps. Don't take it away entirely.
Are there specific tests that you think the FDA should be moving on?
Well, I mean, that's a decision for the FDA. There's a lot of factors that go into determining whether or not a test can be brought to market. And those certainly aren't things that I can comment on. I can just tell you that the information we have today is better than the information that we had 10 years ago, which is better than the information we had 20 years ago. So as each period of time goes by, there's never been a point in time in the history of medicine when medicine hasn't progressed. And I truly believe that we still, at this point in time, are progressing. Our knowledge of PSA isn't done. Our ability to provide useful information from it isn't done. And I think that what we have today is only just the start of what we'll be able to provide people in the future.